I wouldn't choose to be an actor because to be an out of work actor sucks. It is shit. Coldplay, when they first came out to Australia, and Chris Martin goes, "Oh my God, are you Toadfish from Neighbours?" Yeah. He goes, "Oh my God, guys, it's Toadie. It's Toadie." It's insane.
Hey guys, Ryan Moloney, Toadie from Neighbours here, and we've got something pretty
Saying
exciting.
yes to opportunities will take you to all of these interesting places and you'll live a pretty cool existence. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you filled it with all of the things you really want. And so now I'm at the point where I'm like, there's other things I want in my life, like spend more time with families. Or you need to say no to things so that you actually make room for other things to exist.
30-year career at Neighbours, was there any times where you looked and thought about trying to go to Hollywood, or were you always the Toadie character, you were invested in and weren't going anywhere?
Welcome to the Little Fish Podcast, bringing you extraordinary stories to inspire big moves. If you're planning a knockdown rebuild, dual occupancy or townhouse project, don't risk getting it wrong. At Little Fish, we manage the entire process. We get it done faster, cheaper, and stress-free. Scan the QR code or visit littlefishproperty.com.au. Links in the description. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Australia's #1 podcast, Our Little Fish. We speak to the big fish about town each and every week. Please like, share, subscribe. Really appreciate the support, team. I've got a pretty pumped Benny boy here today. You're pumped,
The
man.
big fish, talking about fish though.
Talking about the fish.
Hey?
The toadfish.
On top.
Yeah. Ryan, thanks so much for coming in.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Mate, I watched Neighbours as a kid. Benny, I think, still watches Neighbours or does reruns or something.
He's mad for he's got a tattoo. He's got a Ramsey
No,
Street
it's
tattoo.
deep in the family. It's not me, it's the kids and
Oh, it's not me. Honestly, it's not me. Yeah, sure. Yeah. What's your fish name? Yeah.
yeah, Benny Fish.
No, it is for sure. No, you're pumped. I'm pumped. Mate, thanks for coming in.
worries, yeah.
Where do we start this chat?
I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Well,
I just want to
In the
point out,
beginning.
man, like what is like fair income PK. Like
Yeah.
this is a pinch myself moment here
Yeah.
for the podcast. There's certain people that come in, like for context, like can you appreciate, Ryan, like how big a deal you are in the Australian law of, you know, iconic TV
In the
characters.
psyche.
Yeah, like there's a hand. There's
Yeah.
you know there's only there would you would fit into a small handful of iconic characters and legends.
It's a weird thing. Because yes, I do understand like how recognisable or how well known the character is or whatnot throughout Australian culture, and also overseas as well. But it's a strange thing to kind of be so well known, but also at the same time, no one really gives a shit.
Like, do you feel like people think they know you, but then obviously
Yeah.
they don't? If
Oh
that makes
yeah,
sense? Yeah.
yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of the times, like because people feel or that I'm kind of that well known to the point that it's like, oh, did I go to school with you?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so a lot of the times I just let it go and don't say, oh no, I don't know where you know me from or whatever. But then other times I can tell that they're going to walk away and in 10 seconds they're going to go, oh my God. So I'll I might say something then just to put them out of their misery.
So Ryan, like you said, a 30 year, is that right, Penny?
Yeah.
Like 30 years is a long thing to do
Yeah.
for anything to happen
certainly
continuously.
is, yeah.
Like how did it all start for you? Like, was acting a thing? Were you did drama at school? Like, how does one become the Toad?
Well, you can get incredibly lucky, really. That's really kind of how it works. I started doing acting when I was 8 years old, doing musical theatre. And that was when a group came to our primary school to use it as a rehearsal base. And they wanted to do Oliver, so they needed a whole bunch of kids and they put it out to the primary school and, the cool kid put his hand up. So I was like, yeah, cool, well, I'll do it too. And from that point, we just kind of had a lot of fun and then went into there was a drama school, like, I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes away from where I lived. And that was like a kids drama school, and they ran holiday programs. So my mum, you know, booked me in for that, and that was really good fun. And they also ran programs throughout the school term if you wanted to keep going. So that's kind of how that worked. And she was also an agent. So she became my first agent, and then did auditions and whatnot, but kind of constantly just having fun, enjoying myself. And that's really what it really is having a whole heap of fun the whole time. If I wouldn't choose to be an actor, because like to be an out of work actor sucks. It is shit.
And even being an in-work actor, correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of don't have that much security either, right? Because you may not get your contract renewed, or the seasons may not go on, or, you know, there's so many variables that take away that security that you might get in a normal job. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So first contracts were, you know, like, oh, here's a couple of episodes. And then it was like, oh, cool. Well, here, have come back for a couple of weeks, and then a couple of months, and there was breaks in between. And I think it was probably maybe even nearly a year before it was like a decent kind of here's, I think it was even like 6 months.
And then they're like, all right, we'll give you a year.
And then it was like, yeah. And then it kind of went on from that. But in my mind, it's always you're only there for that contract. So, you know, in my mind, it's always like, oh, you know, finishing up in 6 months' time. You know, even if, you know, I might have like a 3-year contract or something like that, but it'll be like, you know, 12 months. It'll be like, well, I'm finishing in 12 months.
And did that help you sort of, I guess, go all in, have a crack? I've only got 12 months to, you know, to do this? Or like, I guess because it sounds like you had heaps of fun and you just kept having fun. Was there a point where, you know, you're sort of like, you know, let's go, let's
build a career?
Yeah, 100% build a career. Like 30 years, at what year was it like, this is me? Or did it ever?
No, never has. Never has. Or maybe now, you know, who knows, to be honest. No, it's certainly all throughout the time. So, I mean, like I started and I was doing, you know, year 10 and then into VCE. And then I got a contract, which meant that by the time that contract finished, that I could have gone into university as a mature age student. So there was no point kind of in a way finishing school. So I didn't, and, you know, did that contract and then kind of kept going. And then at one point it was like, all right, well, I think I might be finishing up soon. So I went and got my commercial pilot's license and stuff like that. And so all kind of through the way I've been like, oh, I'm going to finish, so I'm going to go and do something. I'm going to go do something. So, and now it's at the point where it's just kind of like, all right, well, you know, whatever happens from this point on. And obviously I'm not there anymore. You know, I got fired a little while ago. And you know, now we're going into the realms of directing and whatnot as well. And so, yeah, it's kind of wherever life takes us now is all part of the fun and part of the journey. Yeah.
Nice. How would you describe, I guess, acting in those 30 years, and how would you know, like, when do you think you got good at it? Because we do a little bit of content and we've got a lot of room for improvement as talent, not so much the amazing producing team, but as talent. How do you get good at coming in, nailing the scripts, nailing the lines, being the character they want you to be?
I suppose it's certainly, you know, taking risks all the time and looking for ways to improve the whole time. Like even now, it's, you know, whenever I'm doing something, it's constantly, how could that be better? How could that be better? And, you know, like I certainly know even when I was finishing, like in my mind, I was actually operating at an incredibly high level of performance, very nuanced, very fine, you know, fine work. And, you know, there'd be times where they'd call cut. I'll be like, yeah, cool. Oh, shit. I should have done that. That's what it should have been, you know? And so there's even still times like that. But, you know, kind of how do you get good? It was probably the scenario of you know, of Toadie's wedding day and the going over the cliff and, you know, the D disappearing into the water, right? And that storyline I knew was like that was my chance to really have a go.
Be emotional and
to kind of, well, you're putting yourself on the world stage, right? And to kind of go, this is an opportunity right here. So you've got to grab it with both hands and do the best you can possibly do. And the way that we shoot stuff is everything's out of order, completely out of order.
Yeah, I've heard that before. That is wild. So you could be dead and then you're back alive again.
Correct.
That's
absolutely
wild.
Correct. Yeah. And so the first thing within all of that scenario that I had to shoot was Toadie coming up out of the water and screaming for D. And I knew, so, you do storyboarding and whatnot. So you get your scripts, you break them down into terms of, kind of where you are in each scene. And then I do like a little one-liner as to what actually happens within that scene, just a couple of sentences. And then after that, then I'll do the emotional journey throughout it all. And it's all like a map, right? And every episode has one of those maps. And so basically when you come to me and you say, oh, we're going to shoot this scene over here, I'll just look in the maps and go, oh, okay, cool. So that's already happened. That's happened. And so this is where we are. And so that's kind of how you set it out, right? Which is great because stepping back, before this, we'll come back to this story in a second, but there was one time where I wrote this beautiful emotional arc for this story, right? And I was so impressed with it. It was so, so good. And then I went, shit, I can't do that. Like, as wonderful as that is, I actually don't have the skill to actually do that. And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's great that I know that because it's great that I'm thinking like this because now it's about, that's my next step is to go, well, then how do you do that?
Get to it,
and to find that stuff. So that's kind of how it progresses there. But so coming back to the D storyline was that the first stuff that I actually had to shoot was actually Toadie coming up out of the water and screaming for D. And I knew that actually that part there was actually where the rest of the story actually hung off. Like if I got this wrong, then the rest of it's going to be shit. And vice versa, if I get it right, then we're off and sailing. And so I remember coming up out of the water and like screaming for D and just this. So this is actually what happens, okay? So this raw emotion just cracks.
How is you like emotional now?
Yeah. And it's like just this thing comes out of me, right? And I don't even know where it comes from, but it just comes out. And it's like, holy shit, I remember thinking, doing it, shit, what the hell is this? Shut up, just keep going. This is it. This is the next step to be able to feel and to portray real emotions without having to think about it. Like you're actually really inputting that stuff and putting it, and it's alive in you.
You're finding it, yeah.
So you now no longer, it doesn't matter if you forget the lines, it makes fuck all difference because you're telling the story, right? Yeah. And you're here, it's alive in your brain and
it's authentic. It becomes authentic, And when it's authentic, it cuts through.
Correct.
That's what I was, what I was going to ask. Like obviously you got the producer and got the script that you need to do. How, authentic and off script, I guess were you, but then as a general terms, other actors, like how off script does this stuff go?
Improv, is that the word? Improv?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like suddenly
improvise.
The producer's like, man, Ryan just ran with that.
Rolling, keep it rolling. Yeah.
And that was much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
Like as a producer.
Or that it could have been, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That certainly is a thing. That's, that happens. But also within that though is that I remember like a while into it, there was a period where like I'd be getting scripts, I'd be like, oh man, this is shit, right? And then I actually clicked in my brain and went, oh mate, that's your ego. That's your ego sitting there going, this is shit, all right, cool. So find a reason in what world does this thing actually really exist? And it doesn't have to make any sense to the story. You just need to find a reason, right? And then so you come up with this reason and you're like, oh shit. And then what that actually does is it opens up all these other things start to flow. You're like, oh, okay. Well, actually, no, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And then when you look through the script, you're like, oh, there's this beautiful, intricate pattern that you start to weave. And so I actually began to just start fighting for keeping the script as it is. Because and directors will come up and go, oh, I think this is not that fantastic. You're like, no, it is actually, it's great. And you'd have to like kind of convince them, and then you do it, and they go, before I saw that, I didn't understand, and now I do. So I'm glad.
Yeah, that's and that's, I guess, is that are we talking about the difference between
levels
to this game that you've played? And obviously, and it sounds like you're a real student of it, which is probably why that, you know, you got a taste for the, you know, the directing side of it. But
I love that. Yeah.
Was that, well, that sounds like the natural progression based on where your acting went and the way you were able to go deeper to.
Sounds like you were kind of doing that as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You were sort of you're already doing it, producing. The better you become, like you were saying, the next step of being able to tap into those things and see things different is somewhat producing, right? So
Or directing.
Directing.
Well, you
directing.
can produce if you like, but that's more money orientated, you know. Yeah.
So the directing. So as you become a more skilled actor, I feel like
you're nearly doing both.
You're kind of doing both as well. Would that?
Sort of.
Certainly. Well, yeah. Neighbours is a different beast in that because it's a continuous cycle. So probably the easiest way to explain how it works is that if we ran on a director's block, so a director gets 5 episodes, and in week 1 they're reading, in week 2 they're having meetings, in week 3 they're having meetings, in week 4 they're shooting all of the location stuff, week 5 they're shooting all the studio stuff, week 6 they're doing all of the edit, right? And there's a director in one of those phases all the way. Right. So for us, you know, we'll have different directors every week. And of course they're only kind of across
Because they're just doing their
stuff.
blocks. So that's even more confusing.
Yeah. So they'll have ideas about what they think is actually happening. And you'll be like, well, actually 3 weeks ago, this actually happened. So this is how it links. And I know that in 2 weeks' time, this is where we end up. So we need to be able to, you know, drop this little bomb here so that it starts to go down there. So so you certainly end up kind of in a way kind of helping to direct and write and perform, and you'll help the other performers as well.
Yeah.
And because we work so fast, then, you know, we're shooting 2.5 hours of television in a week, which is anything that's doing that is the fastest shooting show in the world.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. And
so 2.5 hours of actual gold.
Of edited,
Yeah.
How much filming?
How long's a feature film, right?
Yeah. It's long. Yeah, that's a long feature film.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
I think I did the maths
That's
on.
a commitment.
it's like doing the Titanic.
Yeah.
I think I did the maths on like, you know, just rough idea of, you know, how many scenes I'd be in per week and all this kind of stuff and screen time and da-da-da-da. And I think I worked it out that I'd been in approximately 180 feature films, like, woe to go.
That's crazy.
You know, it's insane.
Yeah, getting paid for 100.
And the Hollywood guys are doing two films a year.
Yeah. I think it equated to something stupid like 15 or something per year. But yeah, so in terms of helping direct and whatnot, yeah, you certainly, there'll be an issue, and, you know, the director, because they're in there for that week, you know, another director might have had the same issue and came up with a solution. And so we'd be going, well, how about if we actually did this? If we make it da-da-da-da-da, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, right. That makes sense. Let's do that.
So the actors in a Neighbours type scenario sound super important to the glue that helps it make sense, because they're really the ones that are watching it and sort of playing along, versus a feature film like you said. Can,
yeah. And like, Neighbours is one of those extraordinary places where you get out what you put in. So if you pay attention to all of that stuff and you are active, you know, and you're a team player, and you're prepared and this is what you want, you will get so much out of it. If you just turn up and say your lines and, you know, go home and you don't really care, well, then that's what you'll get out of it.
Yeah, like anything.
Yeah.
But what about politics and ego on these kind of, like, you know, on a Neighbours set, especially, you know, I guess there's a little bit of fame's involved. For some people, like, that have been on the show for 30 years, it's probably, you know, not even interested or part of that world. But as the younger, you would have seen heaps of young actresses and actors come through. Margaret Robbie comes to mind, and whatever. Has there been over the years? Is there like egos and stuff that come through, or is it?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because it sounds like there's a lot of directors on site, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you've got your director and then there's some, old school actors that have got their thoughts and feelings about it.
Yeah,
and then
like
you've
the
got
ideas, how they want to do it.
Man, everyone's got ideas.
I'm going to look good if I do it this way.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, that's not how we're doing it here. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. There certainly is. Yeah. In fact, because I have just finished a round of directing, probably the hardest people to direct were the people who have been there for 30 years, like Jackie and Alan, just because they've already got what they want to do. And to
trying to teach an old dog new tricks.
Correct. It's kind of like, I know that's what you want to do, but
we're trying something different.
We're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
We're doing something else. So, in all credit to them, of course they got on board, and once they understood and whatnot, what I was trying to sell and to do, they were like, yes, great, love it, let's do
they've
that.
got to trust you somewhat as well, because they're putting themselves out there somewhat.
Hell yeah.
So they've got to trust you that you're all right, dude. I'm trusting you.
Well, see, that's the thing too, is that sometimes like we'd have directors in there who've never done any acting. So I mean, like, after 30 years of performing, I think I'm okay to say this.
You're fine, mate.
Well, not that, but okay to say that I find it interesting that somebody who's never done any acting is then trying to tell someone else how to do acting.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting. Like, obviously, if you've studied, shots and, directing and whatnot, yeah, cool. I get all the technical stuff, but in terms of acting, like I've had directors who are kind of going, can you give me this on this line and this on this line? I'm like, that's not how it works. There has to be a through line for the character to follow. It has to make sense. It's not, we're going to give you this emotion then and that emotion then. It's like, that's not real.
So it's erratic, it's not authentic, doesn't feel right.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's an idea in your head, not
Correct.
of how it might work.
That's a bit like
due to your lack of experience, you wouldn't understand
it's
that.
like a footy. It's like there's it happens in all industries. Footy commentators that haven't played footy that are given advice.
Yeah, right.
Boxing commentators that are saying, Joe walking in,
Project manager that had never been on the tools and go, you try and tell me how to build that.
Or how to
never what would you know?
Yeah. Architects, you got to love them.
Yeah. I don't know. 100%. What I was going to ask, you've got a set of whatever, like what percentage play to the level that you're talking about as far as look at the script and go, I see this, I feel this, I'm going to do this and do that. Like, are you like what sort of percentage are playing at your level as an actor on a Neighbours, on a Home and
And
Away?
how many are sort of just clipping their ticket and understand they've just got a short, or they've got a gig for now sort of thing?
No, you know what? I'm actually not going to answer that. Well, it's not fair to other people because they can't respond. But also at the same time, when you're watching stuff, if you're not engaged with. So one of the things
I'm going to start watching. I know that.
one of the things that earlier on, I had one director who was an actual drama coach, and he was fantastic because he would grab me and this other actor who was fantastic, and would go and run stuff, not our scenes, other people's scenes, and go through different techniques and whatnot of actually how to do stuff. So one of the things that I specifically remember, well, one of the techniques anyways, is to find a need for your character. And it's like, it's one of those basal needs, right? You need to be loved, you need to be accepted, or you need safety, or you need to protect, or whatever it is, right? To find one of these needs. And so that's your need through the scene. Then it's about, well, how do you go about getting achieve that need? And then that's the thing that you operate over the top of, right? And then it's always interesting when you need something from someone else, right? So that automatically gets me interested in you, gets me connected to you, is when I need something from you.
Yeah, right.
And that's what the cameras are picking up. They're getting this. And it's even more interesting when I don't get what I need.
Yes.
right? When I don't get what I need, now all of a sudden the audience is sitting there going, they don't even know this, by the way, the audience. They're sitting there kind of going, I want this guy to get whatever he wants, right? Because you're rooting for the underdog, and it's like, he never gets it. He never gets it. And so you're in a way, you're messing with the subconscious mind by creating this. And that's really kind of what this is about. It's performing.
Just tapping into the emotion.
And connecting with the audience is, you know, we've got to take you on this journey. That's what it's about. Yeah.
And if those connections aren't happening and those whys aren't being, needs aren't being met, well, then that's
so that's kind of where I say is
not
that
an optimum sort of.
You know when someone's just punching a ticket.
Yeah. Can I?
You're not even. You're changing the channel. You don't even care.
That's what I mean. I reckon. Yeah. Anyway, now. I'm
you could be walking past something and kind of go, "Oh, hey, what's going on there?" And all of a sudden you're into it, and then it'll cut to something else, and you'll watch it for a second. And you go, oh, all right, cool. On we go. And it's something as simple as that.
Yeah. Can I ask about because obviously we can feel your passion and obviously a 30-year career at Neighbours. Was there any times where you looked and thought about trying to go to Hollywood or do any leave Neighbours and sort of try your hand at Hollywood? Like, I'm sure there's been plenty over the years. Some succeeded, some failed. Or were you always, the Toadie character, you were invested and weren't going anywhere? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Yeah, of course, there were certainly times where I'm like, I mean, so being Toadie, and then there's all these other characters, certainly when you're a teenager as well, the good-looking characters, right? and the good-looking characters got a lot of interest from the public, and they got a lot of interest from companies and whatnot.
Brand deals and whatever, yep.
Yeah. Whereas, Toadie didn't, right? And so, growing up throughout that period, you're kind of watching other people get stuff, and you're like, why aren't I getting this stuff? Why is this not happening for me? And I certainly know that, one of my really good mates, probably sunk in really, when Paddy Harvey, he went over to the UK, to try his hand at doing stuff. And, when he came back maybe over 12 months later, and he was like, oh, hey, do you reckon you could suggest a storyline where I come back? I was like, oh, right, okay. And he was like, yeah, no, I shouldn't have left. I was like, yeah. Oh, that's good to hear, because I've been thinking this a
Is
long...
the grass greener on the other side?
Correct,
it's just human nature. But I would argue there must have come a point in the 30 years, maybe at the 15, 17-year mark, where it was like, you know what, dude? You can't leave now because, you're ingrained as this character now. You're larger than the character's bigger than you. Does that make sense? So it almost stereotypes you.
Your equity was high.
Yeah.
That you feel like you're more safe and that
you're
not going to get fired? Or?
I feel like it'd be hard to cast you as someone that's not Toadie, right? Because after playing a character for so long.
Yeah, is that a thing?
As an Aussie, it'd be hard to look at you playing, I don't know, a victim or I don't know, I'd be going, what's Toadie doing, dude? Why is he acting weird?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, absolutely. You're completely right. Yes, there is that typecasting aspect and going, oh, well, I know, in my mind, I actually see that as incredibly short-sighted in terms of, being cast for things, in not actually understanding what it is that I can do or even how I do it.
Yeah, for sure.
You haven't actually watched. You don't know, and so therefore you're missing what it is that I can actually do. So in terms of, being able to do stuff, see, I've actually got this idea where I'd love to play a character that people just fucking despise. Right.
Yes.
Like a pedo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And on top of that is that I want to make you feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Just to mess with you even more, right? and so stuff like that, and that's what goes on in my mind. I'm like,
because that's a challenge, right? Like if you can do that, that's like. Yeah.
Oh, I can do that.
Patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time.
By the way.
Yeah.
But it's, like Dharma, when you look at that show.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, you feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
And it's
absolutely.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
So you love the thrill of the chase and the art form of it and the challenges inside the macro,
and then sit back and
Absolutely.
watch it work.
figure out how to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And find ways of being the puppet master to make you go on this journey. And certainly, you know, being Toadie. See, I mean, that in my mind, I go, that is a huge asset to play with, play with your audience, to go, everyone's going to be looking at him going, oh, that's Toadie, right? And if we start getting him to do this stuff, whoa, that's going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah.
You know? So that's where I kind of go, it's a bit short-sighted. Like there's a real opportunity for people.
So are you more saying from a director production short-sighted? What about the public? Does the public struggle, you know, to go, oh, cool, Toadie's like a...
I reckon if he
like a
nails it, the
police
public doesn't get a
now.
choice, right? We don't get a choice.
Yeah.
Well,
is that
I mean, like it's you know, people drink Coke because Coke has spent a shit ton of money advertising Coke.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. It's the public they follow what you tell them in a way.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, they'll have their own mind about stuff, but if you tell them that something's
come
awesome
around.
long enough, then you know, I mean, there's probably you know, one of the interesting things, the differences between Neighbours and Home and Away. Is that Home and Away is actually produced by Channel 7. So they are the producers.
Producers and
they
owners.
have a heap of money invested into this product.
Absolutely.
And so therefore they need it and want it to work. So they advertise the crap out of it.
Yeah,
it's
don't
on
they?
mainstream stuff and all that kind of stuff. Channel 10 doesn't have anything. I mean, they just pay for Neighbours, but you know, it's not nowhere near as much investment. And so therefore there's nowhere near as much care.
So it's just another show. I guess that brings us to PK, like the cancelling because it was Channel 7, then Channel 10, Prime, and here we are now. We're here on the brink of the news has come out, which I know my wife is devastated about, and my daughter, that it's been cancelled again.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing. Yeah.
So what can you talk us through, like, that sort of journey for you? Because you were off, then you were back. So you were Channel 10 stopped, and then you were off, and then you were back on for Prime.
More so, yeah, the local market doesn't have as much of an effect on Neighbours as what, you know, you might
One might think, yeah.
It was on Channel 5 in the UK, and they were the main buyers of the show.
Yep.
And then they decided that they wanted to focus more on local drama instead of when was it? I think it was around COVID time, actually. You know, it was kind of that thing of going, why are we handing out money to overseas things when, you know, it's very Trumpism. We're going to build it all ourselves, right? And so therefore they went, oh, we're going to get rid of Neighbours. And then there was a large petition. I mean, it was on the BBC before then. Right.
Yep.
And so the BBC got rid of it.
Used to be on
Channel
twice
5.
a day over there from memory.
Three times.
Three times, because I lived there for a few years. And
UK Gold as well.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Couldn't get enough.
No, it was not. It was mad. And so, yeah, so I went from BBC to Channel 5. And then when it got cancelled off Channel 5, there was so much uproar from the fans in the UK that they did all these petitions. And at that time, Amazon were launching their new network, Amazon Prime, Freevee, which is, you know, free to air for Amazon. Yep. And they went, well, just makes sense to have a product in the UK market that we're already launching in. Let's buy it. And so that's why, you know, Neighbours came back. And now Amazon Freevee is now no longer in the UK. They actually got rid of Amazon Freevee.
So it was Amazon Freevee that didn't work, not Neighbours necessarily.
Correct.
Oh.
And so it went to Prime for the rest of the contract.
Yep.
And now the contract's up. So
it was behind a paywall on Prime because it's the Prime.
Still
Prime.
free, but
Is it?
it was actually, well, yeah, it's still free, but it's I think in the UK, I don't know, on you know, bloody Facebook, there's always someone going, I can't find it. Find it. Okay, if it's that hard to find, no wonder. No wonder it's going to get canned
again. It's not working, yeah. So how long was that after, was that maybe an 18-month run it came back for?
So it was a 2-year run.
2-year run. And how long were you, how long were you involved and how did it come
12
about?
months.
And how did it come about you going back to the show? Were you always going to go back? Did you have to think about it? Did you negotiate some big bickies when
we'd bought, 20 acres and in a place, there was like a rundown property, what we call Chateau Shithole. and that was kind of when Neighbours finished. It was like, all right, cool. Well, let's, free up some cash and go and
go
buy
on the
this.
farm.
And, while we just finished building, we just built one and was like, market's really good. Let's sell that and go and do it again. And as soon as I finished, it was like, well, a lot of this is going to involve civil construction. So I went and got my tickets for civil construction and whatnot. And so I did that. And then as I was going through that process, it wasn't even maybe 6 months that the producer, knocked on the door and said, hey, guess what? We're coming back. I was like, oh, right. I was meant to have some time off and build my house.
Whilst you're on your tractor.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, I'll turn this off.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I've done a lot of meetings sitting on my excavator, I tell you. Yeah.
How were you feeling about it in that moment, in that 6 month? Were you content? Were you missing it? Was it, how did you feel about it when it first ended? And then I guess now, the second time?
It was very weird. The first time was, it actually didn't feel like I had an end. Because the whole thing ended.
Yeah, so it wasn't like individual stories. We wrap you up, then we wrap it up. It was just,
and I've gone through 30 years or so of people finishing and,
you deserved an end.
And so it's kind of like, I never actually felt any level of kind of closure with that. Yeah. So it was just kind of an empty nothingness. Oh, let's find out what we're going to do next kind of thing. Whereas now, after, coming back for 12 months and the storyline that I had, it was very full on. And we I took him to, a psychotic breakdown. Yeah. And that in itself takes a huge toll. And, so it was, when it was like, oh, okay, we're not going to get you for the next 12 months. It was like, oh, good. All right, great. Thank you.
And you were kind of partial to that in your heart anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like you were sort of debating it in your heart whether you wanted to keep going and versus. Was that right?
I've been waiting for 30 years to be fired. So, but also I've always had that thing of going, oh, I want to do something else. So now it's like, oh, great. I'm glad that you've taken the decision out of my hands.
Yeah.
Because
you would have kept rocking up.
Well, yeah, man.
30 years suggests that you're going to keep rocking up.
It's a bloody brilliant job, right? Yeah. Someone keeps waving a bag of money in front of you, you're going to keep, taking it. And because there's always that thing of like, if you turned your back on an opportunity, you'd be always sitting there going,
what if?
Oh, what if? And whereas now there's no what if, it's just what now, which is awesome. I love that. Yeah. And so then it was like going into directing, having the opportunities to get trained at Neighbours and work there for bits and pieces. And
so you were able to do like a director's block and
yeah.
What was that like?
Brilliant. Absolutely loved it. It's exactly where my mind is at, and it's very creative. It was really sensational, and I did a frigging awesome job.
Yeah, well, it's no sort of surprise based on the way you acted for 30 years by the sounds of it, having that taste of doing your own little bit of directing inside your character. Sounds like it was, you put a bit of a duck to water a little bit.
Hey, I've got one, just a little side one. Do you collect stamps?
No, I don't. I did. Well, no, I wouldn't even say I collected stamps. No, I don't. No.
You don't have any stamps at all?
I do have stamps.
I was going to say.
I do have stamps because my head has been on a couple.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. So, you've fucking made it, dude, when you get immortalised on a stamp. Because for context, you've been on a stamp. The Queen, Kylie, Steve Irwin. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking like
that's a club.
John.
It's a very rare club. It doesn't happen all the time. No. Yeah.
So Donald Bradman, you know what I mean? And then
the Don.
Yeah. So it's like not to
national treasures.
Yeah, not to laugh it off, like for real. Like you've.
And how many do you have?
So he's been on two. You've been on
family.
Yeah. Well, they're limited.
How many
edition.
stamps have I got?
How many did you like stockpile?
Yeah. How many?
Only one sheet. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What am I going to do with them?
Well, just
Christmas cards.
I thought you might have one there, one in a vault somewhere.
I'll give you a tip. You might want to fucking sell it on eBay because I had a bit of a look.
Oh, really?
I had a bit of a look, and we'll put it up on the screen, Bonnie. But the one of them originally sold for $59.
What?
$59, right? That's how much the limited edition. I think there was 120 of them, and now
Is this a set of stamps, or is this
no for one stamp, and they now sell for
59.
between 100 and 200. But I'm not joking. There's one that you signed. I'm not sure if you did. We'll have to get.
Is this a fan card, or is this a
No, stamp.
a stamp? Huh.
So
Oh, one of those things. Yeah,
hang
I
on,
think there's even a coin.
Hang on. There's a coin. Yeah, there was a limited edition coin.
It's looking
and there
very
was that
youthful
stamp.
there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That one too.
And
Yeah.
there was the original one. Where's the original one? I think this. Yeah, this one. Was that the original one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the original
the one.
So Bonnie will put it up on the screen. Man, one of them selling. It's on eBay for $1,000, mate.
Yeah, but who's bought it?
So you've got a sheet of them.
Yeah.
You're running a stack. But I guess like things like that, like a
People
kind of,
thought Bitcoin was a thing, right?
Yeah, that's right. But that must be surreal, like to look back and especially now that it's all sort of buttoned up a bit, to look back and go like that journey you went on. And I guess some of the questions I've got would be like, was there any times or experiences or people that you met or places that you ended up where you pinched yourself and thought, what is life? Like, did you meet the Queen or anything like that?
I didn't get to meet the Queen. No. Other people on Neighbours
Neighbours,
did,
yeah. But was there anything? Do you know what I mean? Like over your 30 years, you sort of said before you probably weren't the hot one at the front all the time. You know, that a few of those sort of flowed through, so you maybe missed on some of the opportunities. But I'm sure there would have been some, or some experiences or whatever that have come from it. Would you say?
Hell yeah.
Who have you met? What have you done? You know, what are those pinch me moments?
At the pointy end that we can talk about with the stamps. Well, that blew my mind, Benny. Great research from you.
I'm a stamp collector. No.
Yeah. What's the name for them? Oh, I can't remember. They got a funny name.
Oh, do they have? Oh, they do too.
Yeah.
Power.
Crazy stamp collector.
Yeah, they do too.
Probably, I mean, the one that always kind of sticks in my mind was Coldplay when they first came out to Australia. They were playing at Chapel Off Chapel. And I don't know if you know Chapel Off Chapel, but they've got like a giant rug in the middle. That's where the band plays, and all of the seating's around the band. And
very
of course,
intimate by the sounds of it.
It's very intimate. Yeah. It's not large at all.
Yeah.
And of course I was running late, so none of the seats were available, and I just kind of had to find my way, and I ended up kind of standing on the edge of like the rug, right, and whatnot. And they were singing away, and then the song finished, and Chris Martin goes, "Oh my God, are you Toadfish from Neighbours?" I was like, yeah. He goes, "Oh my God, guys, it's Toadie. It's Toadie." I was like, "Hey, can you come back and have a beer with us later?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, no worries." "Oh my God, this is amazing. This is great. All right, so and this is we're going to dedicate our next song to you, and this is a little song that we call Yellow." And
Stop it.
off we went, and kind of that's stuff like that is insane. It's silly.
Pinching yourself. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Was Warney there that night?
No, he wasn't. Well, actually, I don't know. He might have been. Funnily enough, one of the when Neighbours did finish up, right, and there was all of these pictures and stuff and memorabilia around the place, and people were kind of like, "Oh, I really want that," And then on the final day, we went. We found like this kind of room that everyone had forgotten about in a way, and I saw her up on the wall, or one of the kids or someone saw her up on the wall. It was like a cast photo with Shane Warne in it, right? And I was like,
a little cameo or something, did he? Or?
He did, yeah.
He did that, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is coming home with me. Yeah.
Ryan, so directing, talk to us about that. You had your taste for it, doing your Neighbours set and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What's the play? Like, is it pursuing a Neighbours type scenario? Is that, or is it a movie?
I actually don't even know how you get work as a director.
Yeah, okay. Can we find that out? Can we look that up?
I've got to
for
find
Ryan,
out.
please?
I've got to find out and get some more jobs. Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein. Send him an email.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully I'd love to do that. I think it's a fantastic, obviously with acting, you're storytelling.
Yes.
But then when you're doing it with multiple actors, you're telling a bigger picture, and then you're doing it with camera, with shot selections and lights and sound and within the edit and whatnot. And so you can really take people on a very cool, large journey.
And tell me you're not thirsty for that.
Oh, I love
The
it.
50 minutes we've spent here, you want to be doing it all.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's certainly something that I really want to do. Yeah. Who knows? There could be any other things that I like doing as well. I also want to, learn how to build two-stroke engines. So
One fascinating thing is how close is there any overlap between the character and the yourself? So Jared and Ryan, would you say there's any overlap or not much or completely different?
I think there's certainly an overlap in that you use your personal experiences to a certain level. The producers asked me the other day the Daytime Emmy Awards are coming up, and they asked if I would like to put in a submission for a nomination, right? Which means that you got to send off a 15-minute video, and then they judge it and they go whether or not you've been nominated or whatnot, right? So I was like, wow, okay, cool. That's, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And it was like, okay, so anything from 2024, we've got to go through. So I've been going through everything from 2024, looking for stuff and just watching it. And, my daughter is, she's sitting there going, why are you watching Neighbours? And then she saw something on there where like he tells his daughter off and she looked at it and she went, that was you. That was.
And Shannon, she's here now too.
She's here now. Yeah. She goes, that was you. I was like, yep, that's right. It was.
That is so funny. I've got another question. This is funny as well because Callum was your son for obviously many, many years as well.
Yeah.
And Nelly Fish. But Cal, so do you ever keep in contact? Like, what's he doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, how old would he be?
Oh, how old? 26-ish? 27?
So he's a man now, yeah.
He certainly is a man, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, geez, he could even be coming up
to 30.
30s.
Stop it.
Somewhere along that point, yeah.
But what's that?
Yeah.
That must be weird, man, that you have these long-term relationships on screen. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is that
Especially with kids.
fucking weird, yeah?
Yeah.
Like,
Because a lot of it, especially as young kids,
especially with kids as well.
you do a lot of parenting on set.
Yeah.
And you...
Come on, Cal,
Yeah.
mate. We need to...
Yeah. I mean, like, they're kids, man, and they don't want to do things over and over and over again. It's boring for them, and so it's 9 times out of 10 it's left up to you to get a performance out of the kid, and so you develop these relationships with them, and it's quite a strange kind of thing.
Dynamic, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty bad at catching up with people outside of work as it is. So yeah, to have these really big, powerful, strong relationships at work, and then it kind of doesn't really exist.
It doesn't
outside of
translate, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not that I don't like to, catch up with them and see them and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it's I'm just shithouse at that.
I like it.
It's just bizarre. I've always thought it's Susan,
such a long career.
I don't know the real names. I know the character names, but Susan and Carl.
Yeah.
They've been together for bloody on screen for 20
30
years. 30
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
That's got to be weird.
Yeah.
Living a life with 2 wives and 2 husbands in some way, even known one of them, like you're acting it. But I feel like if you're acting it enough hours a day, it starts to become your reality a little bit as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you certainly they've got a dynamic.
Yeah.
They certainly have a dynamic. Yeah. And, how it operates it's funny, watching those couples outside, with their own partners.
Yeah, with their real partners,
Like when they're all together.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing to watch.
Because you would see them more with their fake partner than with their real partner.
Correct,
so when the real partner comes in, you're going, oh, that's weird.
Oh, but it's just, everyone obviously gets along really well,
Yeah.
and there's no issues with it all. But it's just funny dynamic as to how it all works. It's great.
It's a bizarre way to live, I reckon. Like,
It is a very weird way to live. Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Unique, for sure, man. Was there ever... you get food envy? Was there ever character envy where you'd look at some other characters and go, "Fuck, he's got the he's got killer gig, this guy," or whatever. Was there ever a character that came through that you resonated
Paul
with?
Robinson.
Paul Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah, and to play the evil guy all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And to be limping around for 20 years.
That's not fun.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, you'd nearly get a limp, wouldn't
He's
you?
had to limp for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a point where he put a prosthetic in his shoe to make sure that he limped, and then
remind
they
him.
really
Take it
screwed
out
his back up.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was ever a season that everyone forgot, and then they go, "Shit, you were meant to limp. You haven't limped for, So Paul would be one.
Yeah, I think Harold's pretty good too.
Oh yeah, Harold.
Yeah.
Question. So Harold died, right, and came back. That's always confused me.
We didn't die; he just disappeared.
They alluded.
Madge-
they made
Madge
us
on
think
the
that he
rocks.
died. They made us think he died,
Harold. Yeah,
and he ended up he floated to Tasmania. Is
that's
that
right?
right?
He was picked up by a fishing trawler. Yeah,
Harold.
and he had amnesia.
Mate, this has been epic. We on the front of our, if you look at the front cover of our podcast, it's about, we try and share extraordinary stories, and it's hard to wrap our head around how extraordinary the story of your life and tied to Toadie is. Just over 30 years. It's just there's nothing really like it, right? It's such a unique
an amazing
story.
career, and then getting to know you somewhat in this hour is that you don't really plan too much, and there's not a set plan, and I'm going to learn all this stuff, and it could take me in a lot of different directions, and sort of one step at a time, and
you sort
all
of
this
just
sort of
strapped
stuff.
on and held on by the sounds of it as well.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was never like a plan.
Yeah, open to anything.
1 year went to 2 to 3 to 6
Say yes to
months.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Is
Is that
really-
the key? Is that just to say yes?
to a certain point.
Yep.
Yeah. In the same breath, you've also now because saying yes to opportunities will take you to all of these interesting places, and you'll live a pretty cool existence, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you filled it with all of the things you really want.
Yes.
And so now I'm at the point where I'm like, there's other things that I want in my life, like spend more time with family. So now it's actually no longer say yes to opportunities. It's almost like, well, you need to say no to things so that you actually make room for other things to exist.
For the things that you really,
Yeah.
Say yes to the right opportunities.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you coming on because we know that as well. We know that since you've left Neighbours, you sort of do your own thing. You're out on the farm and you're not really running around doing interviews and stuff. So we do appreciate, mate, that you've come on and shared your story, because it's a story that needs to live on, man, because, it's been a big, like I said, we're born the same time, man. And I grew up in parallel with you on the screen. And it's just a bizarre experience from this side of the screen and obviously hearing your story on your side of the screen. And it's just an Australian institution, Neighbours, and hopefully it comes back. Is there any chance that it gets picked up again, or is this is it?
Who knows? I suppose if another international broadcaster decides to buy it, then I suppose so.
Yeah,
But
it feels like this could be it.
who knows? Yeah. It's a shame because it employs a lot of people and it teaches a lot of people, and it's very important to the industry.
How many people would it employ, just out of curiosity?
I suppose probably, just looking at the numbers for lunch, I think it's about 150 just in the studio.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of food.
It is a lot of food. Yeah. Even the caterers are employed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, true.
even the dishwasher is employed.
Yeah, it runs deep. Ryan, I was going to ask you what advice would you give to people moving through their careers and that sort of stuff, but it sounds like say yes and then learn to say yes to the right things and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And do things for fun and for the opportunities. Yeah. Certainly, do like always try to have fun with it. Yeah, because if you're doing it, and it's not fun, then life is not fun.
Is there something that you can rationalise in your brain that makes sense that why Toadie lasted as a character for 30 years, and so many, there'd be hundreds, if not thousands, of other characters that have gone through the show, but your one stuck for so long? Have you ever been able to land on something to go, I reckon that's why? Maybe because he was the underdog, or
Yeah, he's the eternal loser. Yeah.
like genuinely, is that what you
That's what I made him as.
Yeah.
He's the eternal loser. He's the guy that...
And everyone wanted you to win.
Correct.
So
That's
they couldn't,
exactly right.
So they couldn't get rid of you.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
But the appeal was there. the audience grew to love him.
Yeah, it's like
because the
in
good-looking
wrestling
guys,
terms, he was the heel.
Yeah, the heel, and because the good-looking,
know.
the good-looking guys, like I guess the novelty wears off eventually, right? When you're good-looking and you're winning all the time, people get a bit sick of that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's about people being able to see themselves within.
Not to say you're not good-looking, Terry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
You know, thanks very much. See, look, that didn't even enter me.
Yeah, I know. Here I am judging your looks.
I'm like, what? I'm a sexy man. No.
I guess relative to the Jason Donovans of the world,
Yeah,
I think you mean good-looking characters.
Good-looking characters, yeah.
Rather than...
And positioned as good-looking characters as well.
People want to see... They certainly as for yourself, as you've grown up and you've gone through all the things within your life, you want to know or have hope that things can work out for you.
Yeah.
And all of the challenges that you come up across, and if you can hear and see or draw parallels within, another character to your life, well then, all of a sudden you become invested in that guy or girl or, whoever, whatever.
I reckon, and would that mean as well, because you were that sort of character that was more relatable to more people, because more people would feel like the underdog, feel like they're not being seen or heard or the loser, so to speak, or whatever, there'd be more people that would resonate with that character than
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, then sitting on the couch looking at your nails thinking, oh, like I resonate with her because I'm a bit of a smoke show myself,
Yeah.
But I guess you're talking to the masses, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what most people have got, all those insecurities as well.
That's right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, if you represent how messed up we all are, then you're onto something.
Yeah, you're onto a winner.
There's probably two
See
more.
you in 30 years.
Yeah.
Two more things we need to clear up before we let you go.
I'm not a doctor.
Do you barrack for Essendon? and are you into wrestling?
So you're a Collingwood guy.
I am Collingwood.
So that's why you want to know about Essendon, right? Yeah. I don't follow footy.
Oh, bizarrely.
Yeah.
At all.
Nah.
There you go. And
I can't sit down and watch something for 2 hours and
I'm
think that
a bit
was
the
a good way to spend my time.
Yeah, I
can't do it.
I'm a bit the same. I'm not watching too many full games of footy end to end. I'm not a footy guy like that.
I really wish I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it's just not the way I'm built. Yeah.
And the wrestling.
And the wrestling, yeah. So you on the show.
This is the one that I really feel bad about, because obviously, people who really like the mad wrestling fans, they want to know and they hope. This is there's a representation of something that that they've been ridiculed for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's on the mainstream, right?
Yeah,
and so if this guy really does love wrestling, then yes, this is cool.
Yes.
I feel so bad for them. I'm like, I don't know any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You can see their hearts break.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, love it. Awesome. Any more questions from you?
No, I think I've cleared most. I think I've cleared most of them up.
Our fanboy. Ryan, mate, we really appreciate you coming in, like Benny said. Yeah. Amazing story. On a stamp with the Queen and Don. Like, what
Steve
else?
Irwin, man.
What else?
What are we talking about?
So, mate, it's amazing career, well done, and sounds like the directing thing's right up your alley. So,
if you ever need any extras,
no doubt you'll be a huge success at it.
Or I won't be. Who knows?
Well, that's the alternative. Yeah, but let's
I'll never be heard of again, and I'll just disappear into obscurity.
Yes.
So
out on the farm on the machinery,
kind of like Nudge.
Nudge.
Yeah.
Stop it.
LA.
Even I've heard of Nudge.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. There's so many.
You've just gone places now, haven't you?
Oh yeah. No, I was just thinking. There's so many characters, and I need to throw it out there. Shout out to me cousin Trenner. Oh, my cousin was on Neighbours, man.
Right.
His name was Mickey Dalton back in the day.
Yeah.
And he worked at Harold's. He was only on it for about 6 weeks, but he played a villain, a heel, and he ordered all these pizzas to the dance or something.
Oh.
And he played the heel and stuff. So
okay.
Shout out to me cousin who was on Neighbours.
Good on you, Mickey.
Mickey.
Hey.
Strong 6 weeks.
Strong 6 weeks, Trenner.
The show.
And I think
the
you
show
mentioned,
hit its heights.
what was that play you mentioned at school as well? Was it the original play when we first
That Oliver.
Oliver? I reckon he was in Oliver as well at school.
Oh, yeah, probably.
So
I reckon pretty much most schools
it's
have
a
done
path.
Oliver.
Yeah, the path of.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it. Rings a bell now that they're doing it. Anyway, mate, thanks for coming in. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. That's it. See you at the top.
People want to be part of a winning team. People can find a better version of themselves if they choose.
You just need to go start some shit.
Action is all that matters.
Be a man of your word.
I think I look back now and I'm like, whoa, that took some guts.
Be kind, be kind, be kind.
See you at the top.